People like to believe they want growth. They talk about change, ambition, becoming better. They save quotes. They watch videos. They imagine a different version of themselves. But when growth actually asks something from them, most people stop. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly. They hesitate. They delay. They wait for the right time. Not because they are lazy, not because they lack intelligence, but because growth feels unsafe to the brain. Comfort is predictable, growth is not. From a psychological perspective, the human brain is not designed to make you successful. It is designed to keep you alive. And survival doesn't care about potential. It doesn't care who you could become. It only cares that you don't lose what you already have. Every habit you repeat, even the harmful ones, exists for a reason. They reduce uncertainty. They create familiarity. And familiarity feels like safety. This is why people stay in jobs they resent, why they remain in relationships that slowly erode them, why they avoid conversations that could change everything. Because the known pain feels safer than the unknown possibility. Your brain constantly runs silent calculations before any decision. What if this fails? What if this costs too much? What if I can't go back? Growth doesn't provide clear answers. It demands trust before proof. Comfort provides proof without trust. You've survived it before. You know the rules. You know how much it hurts. Psychologists call this loss aversion. We experience potential loss as more painful than potential gain feels rewarding. The brain exaggerates what you might lose and downplays what you might become. So when growth appears, the mind doesn't see opportunity, it sees risk. Risk to identity, risk to routine, risk to the version of you that already knows how to survive. Even positive change activates stress responses. A new job, a healthier lifestyle, setting boundaries. All of these disrupt familiar patterns. And disruption feels like danger. This is why people don't fear failure as much as they fear instability. Failure is defined, instability is not. The brain would rather endure predictable discomfort than step into something better but uncertain. That's not weakness, that's biology. But biology optimizes for the short term. It does not optimize for meaning. Growth often feels exhausting before it feels rewarding, confusing before it feels clear, lonely before it feels right. And because discomfort arrives first, most people turn back before the reward appears. Comfort is not chosen because it is good. It is chosen because it is familiar. And familiarity is the brain's definition of security. This is why people say they want change, but live as if they don't. They are not lying. They are conflicted. Growth threatens the system that kept them alive until now. And the brain protects that system fiercely. Comfort doesn't feel safe because it makes life good. It feels safe because it makes life predictable. And predictability is what the brain trusts most. From a psychological standpoint, the brain builds models of reality, patterns it can recognize, outcomes it can anticipate, pain it already understands. Growth breaks those models. The moment you step toward growth, the brain loses its map. And when the brain loses its map, it assumes danger. This is why people often feel anxious before something good happens. Before a new opportunity, before a necessary change, before a meaningful risk. The anxiety is not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign your nervous system has no reference point yet. Comfort, on the other hand, always has a reference point. Even when comfort hurts, the brain knows how it hurts. It knows how much energy it costs. It knows how to survive inside it. It knows the limits. Growth has no such guarantees. Psychologically, humans are far more sensitive to uncertainty than to pain. A known struggle feels manageable. An unknown future feels overwhelming. This is why people cling to situations that drain them. Why they stay emotionally numb rather than emotionally exposed. Why they choose fine over fulfilled. Comfort protects you from surprise. Growth invites it, and surprise is stressful. Another reason comfort wins is identity protection. Your sense of self is built around what you repeatedly do, your routines, your reactions, your roles. Growth threatens those roles. If you change, who are you without the excuses, without the familiar struggles, without the story that explains why your life looks the way it does? This question terrifies the mind because identity loss feels like social death, even when the old identity is painful. Psychologically, people would rather remain unhappy than unrecognizable. Comfort keeps identity intact. Growth forces identity reconstruction, and reconstruction is exhausting. There is also something deeper at play. Comfort delays responsibility. As long as you stay where you are, you can blame circumstances, timing, other people, bad luck. Growth removes those shields. Once you step forward, your life becomes your responsibility, not immediately, but inevitably. And responsibility is heavy. This is why people often sabotage growth right before it becomes real, right before commitment, right before visibility, right before accountability. Not because they don't want success, but because success removes hiding places. Comfort allows hiding. It allows you to stay busy without progressing, to feel occupied without being fulfilled, to confuse movement with direction. Psychology shows that the brain prefers false stability over honest uncertainty. Even when false stability slowly erodes mental health, that erosion happens quietly. No alarm goes off, no dramatic breakdown, just a dull sense of being stuck, a low-level dissatisfaction that becomes normal, a life that feels smaller than it should. And over time, comfort turns into a cage, not because it was designed to trap you, but because you stopped testing its walls. Growth, in contrast, feels chaotic at first, uncomfortable, uncertain, lonely. But chaos is temporary. Adaptation follows. The brain is plastic. It learns new patterns when forced to. It builds new maps, but only after exposure. Most people never stay in discomfort long enough for adaptation to occur. They retreat too early. They interpret stress as failure instead of transition. So they return to comfort and call it being realistic. But realism is often just fear wearing logic. The people who grow didn't eliminate fear. They accepted temporary instability in exchange for long-term alignment. They understood something most people never consciously realize. Comfort answers the question, how do I avoid pain right now? Growth answers a different one. What kind of life am I slowly building? And those two questions rarely lead to the same place. Comfort feels safe in the moment. Growth feels meaningful over time. And psychology explains why most people choose the first, not because they are weak, but because the brain is conservative. It protects what exists. It resists what threatens familiarity. Once you see this clearly, comfort loses some of its power because you stop mistaking fear for truth, and growth stops feeling like recklessness and starts feeling like conscious choice.